From local book trade to world domination. In 1994, the company began selling books online, which at the time was a fairly technological solution in itself. Young Jeff Bezos wanted to once again beat the magic of the fact that the purchase of a book can be done without leaving home. So one of the proposed options for the name was Cadabra, a piece of the well-known abracadabra spell. However, in English, this name would be too constant with the word corpse, cadaver, especially on the phone, which in those days was actively used by customers. As a result, the company was named after the famous South American river, the Amazon, which found a place on the logo. Great business should start in a garage. There is a common misconception that great American companies start out in garages, and Amazon is a prime example. The servers were installed right in Jeff Bezos' home garage and consumed a huge amount of energy that an ordinary home network is simply not designed for. Turning on energy-intensive household appliances, a vacuum cleaner, a hair dryer, and so on, households could completely bring down the Amazon website due to a power outage. Jumpstart. It seems that Jeff Bezos at first did not understand to what extent his offspring could grow. Each book sold was considered an achievement. A bell rang in the office as soon as it was possible to earn at least some money. But it hung for just a few weeks, because the idea of selling books online took off, and the ringing became constant. Some months after the founding, Amazon could already boast that among its customers are customers from all US states and 45 countries of the world. A like and save business. In its early days, Amazon operated like any other bookstore, selling only books it could buy from suppliers. The suppliers themselves required distributors to buy at least 10 books at a time, and a small online store, whose prospects were initially unclear, could not risk a meager budget by buying literature at random without a clear understanding that it would be sold. And then the founding fathers came up with a brilliant idea, ordering batches of 10 books. They included in them only one that was really needed, while the other 9 positions were occupied by an unpopular book about lichens. Published in a small edition, it was always out of stock, and suppliers, having received an order for 10 books, as they wanted, were forced to send only one to Amazon and even apologize to the client. Amazon's first meetings took place on the territory of a competitor. Barnes & Noble is a local offline bookstore in Seattle, where Amazon employees used to meet in the early years. The meetings didn't attract the attention of the owners of Barnes & Noble because the entire staff of the young competitor considered of Bezos himself, his wife, and one hired employee. However, already in 1996, when Amazon got on its feet, Barnes & Noble promised that they would borrow the idea of online sales and, due to the promotion of their own brand, drown a competitor. As a result, Amazon became one of the largest companies in the world, and the most people heard about Barnes & Noble only in the context of their connection with the established business giant. The secret of success is hard work. Jeff Bezos, in the early stages of the existence of his offspring, didn't think to comply with labor laws. One of the company's employees complained that he worked 60 hours a week. It came to a curiosity. The employee, spending all the time at work and riding a bicycle back and forth, could not respond in time to fines for improper parking of his own minibus. And the transport was first evacuated to a penalty area and then sold under the hammer without the knowledge of the errant owner. Christmas is the 24/7 season. Before Christmas, buyers are always active, trying to get gifts for loved ones. In 1998, Amazon experienced such a wild blockage with orders that the staff worked almost around the clock, sleeping right in cars near the office, and was also forced to ask relatives and friends for help. Since then, the company has been actively hiring temporary employees ahead of the seasonal sales peak. A rapid development is a threat to the future. Amazon's success today is largely due to the fact that Bezos immediately implemented the ideas that arose in his head. However, at first, this brought chaos to the work of the company. The system was not always ready for the rapidly introduced innovations and failed. As a result, the centers could stand idle for several hours. A particularly notable example: when Amazon first started selling kitchen knives, they caused critical damage to the conveyor belt several times because no one provided proper packaging for them. Personal complaints to Bezos himself. When he was the CEO of his own brainchild, Bezos was so worried about the future of the company that he could personally take complaints from customers. Having received a critical letter, Jeff figured out who was to blame and forwarded the complaint to the guilty person, supplying the message with a question mark on his own behalf. Although the question mark is not at all like a reprimand, for the offender it was akin to the final Chinese warning. It was necessary in a matter of hours to prepare a reasonable explanation for why the problem became possible and correct the situation. Unable to cope, the employee could begin to collect things without additional prompting. The prototype of the Street Panorama was first launched by Amazon. Today, Google Street View, launched in 2007, is considered to be the top service for viewing street panoramas, but the prototype of such a service worked for Amazon back in 2004-2006. The concept, however, was somewhat different. The Bezos company did not offer to walk around the cities, but only collected street photos of shops and restaurants. The Block View project turned out to be not very interesting for users and was closed 2 years after its launch. But the very idea that you can send photographers to different cities to create a database with street photos was invented by Amazon. Amazon employees were allowed to yell at their boss. Amazon management understood that the company's logisticians had a very hard time on the eve of the holidays. Jeff Wilke, director of operations at the beginning of the new millennium, found a way out of accumulated stress. If an employee was successful in completing a different task, he had the right to dial the boss on the phone and just yell at him at the top of his voice. Did it help? Judge for yourself. To work as a resort. In 2006, a highly enterprising temporary employee worked for a short time in the Kansas fulfillment department. He came to work on time and left it when he was supposed to. But during the shift, no one could find him. It turned out that the guy found a circulated place in the warehouse between the old boxes and arranged a lair for himself, in which he even assembled a makeshift bed for himself. The unfortunate employee was not shy about eating tasty food at the expense of the company, and this went on for a whole week, until the violator was found. Bezos is a brutal boss, aware of his shortcomings. People who have worked under Jeff Bezos agree that this is not the boss with whom it is psychologically comfortable to work. He took bad news with hostility, and the guilty employees always fell under a tough distribution, during which the boss could even go personal. However, someone still conveyed the idea to the founder of Amazon that you can't behave like that with people you depend on. There is a corporate legend that Bezos even hired a leadership coach. You can often hear this story. During one of the meetings, the boss smashed his subordinates to smithereens, telling them that they had exactly a week to figure out what they were supposed to do all this time. But at the end of the speech, the boss suddenly changed his anger to mercy and said that he assessed the work done by the staff as good. Is tough management synonymous with success? Before the coronavirus, which made major adjustments to the entire global economy, Amazon was clearly a success story and stable growth. In mid-2020, when the crisis had not yet affected the performance, the company's capitalization was $1.5 trillion, bringing Amazon to third place in value after Apple and Microsoft. At that time, competitors were ahead of the brainchild of Bezos by only $150 billion. Amazon stock could be a smart investment. Amazon shares first appeared on the stock exchange in 1997, and their starting price was $28. As the business developed, the value of the securities grew, and in July 2020, they were already asking for $3,000 per share, with the official value of about $150, automatically screening out all small investors. However, supply and demand are constantly adjusting this indicator. Therefore, by the end of 2022, the official share price fell even below $100. Huge distribution center. Finally, this fact. In Texas, Amazon has a distribution center for goods, which ranks as the 12th largest building in the world. The object occupies this position on the list if the area of all floors is not summed up, but only the area at ground level is taken into account. However, the warehouse is still huge. Its area is 117.5 thousand square meters, which is more than 16 football fields.